Hey everybody, Josh here. I just wanted to walk you through a project that I just put together this last Saturday. I built an herb box in my backyard, for my backyard garden. And I just wanted to take you through the steps of how I did that. So here's what I started with. Now this is a deck box, a little planter that I built last year. I built this shelf and then set this bin in it and planted a few herbs. I've got over here some rosemary, I've got some thyme, and then back in this side, this is some chives that didn't really survive the winter. But the rosemary and the thyme survived quite well. And so what I wanted to do is move them out of this bin into a much larger box. And you can see the box is under construction back here. So I'm going to take you through the process of how I did that. So here's the space that I had in mind. It's nice and open. There's no sprinkler line running through here. It's on the other side of a little barbecue fire pit. I've got another garden over here, but this space was being unused. So the first thing I did was measure how long this is. It's about 10 feet long. And then I, taking out space for the door to swing and centering it. I had about 6 to 7 feet of usable space. But this is where I wanted to put my herbs. And this is the box I built. Now the cool thing about this box is it was completely free. This is all from a pallet. I found, if you go online, you can look on your local classified site or just wherever people list stuff for sale. Look up wood pallets. You can almost always find free pallets. And you can see we love pallets in this house. All of our furniture back here in the fire pit is made from pallets. So yeah, this is a couple pallets. These happened to be 5.5 feet long. And so I thought, well, that's kind of perfect. So I didn't have to cut any boards. I could build this cool little planter box out of that pallet I found. So this is the same frame. This is the frame here. I dug a hole that is slightly bigger than the whole thing and stuck it in. That's also why I left these legs on it, is because I wanted anchors. So I've got the top that just sticks out above, but these feet stick in the ground and they anchor it down. See, it's about, including the lip with the boards, it's about 2 feet deep. Here's another shot of the construction projects. You can see kind of how my backyard is laid out. There's a garden here that's enclosed in a fence. That's where I grow my squash. I grow peppers in there. These trellises are for squash. I've got my compost bin over here. But here is the soil. Now this is soil that I took out of the ground. That's in this little wading pool. Also in this wheelbarrow, and the wheelbarrow has been amended. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But just here's a shot of the construction. So there's the frame in the ground. Hole is still empty. All the soil I took out. Now, I subscribe to a practice called hugelkultur. What hugelkultur is it's German and it's a mound culture. And the way it works is you layer in the dirt. So what I did here in the bottom, first I crumpled up a whole bunch of grapevines. We have a grapevine that grows extremely well, and I had a bunch of last year's dead vines, so I broke them all up. I crumpled them all up and I put them here in this hole. Okay, and then on top of that I threw compost, some kitchen compost and some yard waste compost from my compost bin here in the garden. So as you're looking in there, it looks kind of a mess, but that's you can see the broken up grapevine. You can see like there's coffee grounds, there's an orange, there's just kind of all stuff that as it decomposes, it becomes delicious to the ground. Now here you can see a little bit more about how I mixed my soil. So this wheelbarrow is mostly soil from my yard. It's native soil that was out of that hole. Then I also added in a couple of handfuls of this multi-purpose fertilizer. See, I bought this last year and just put it in a 5-gallon bucket, and I just kept the label on it so that I could remember everything that was in it, remember the ratios. So it's got a couple of handfuls of this, an entire bag of this garden soil all in here. So that's all 3 of those things: native soil, the garden soil bag, and the fertilizer. And I mixed that all up, shuffled it up really good with the hoe, and put it in on top of the grapevine and the compost. Since you can see it reaches almost to the bottom of the boards, but it wasn't quite enough. So using all of that, it wasn't quite enough. Now I still have more native soil to put in, but my native soil is really sandy, and so I didn't really want to do that. So I had my other bag here of Gardener's Gold organic potting soil. So I put that whole bag in here. You can see that's a little darker now than it was. There's a close-up on it. So that is everything we looked at before. That's the native soil with two bags of potting soil and some fertilizer thrown in. And that's when I put in my plants. So what I did, if you remember from way back here, so I had them in this bin, and all I did is I took my trowel and basically cut them out. I ran lines and just cut them out so that I could then lift them out as whole units and stick them in the ground. So that was actually pretty easy to do. I just chopped out a whole section of the plant, I stuck it in, and then I packed this soil all around it. So there's my rosemary and there's my thyme. And then what I did is, you don't want to leave it like this. You want some kind of mulch cover. And there's a lot of options out there. You could use straw, you could use, oh heck, you could take printer paper and put it through a shredder and use that. I think it looks kind of ugly. I ended up using wood chips because we have a lot of wood chips on our place. Wood chips are fantastic because they protect the soil from the sun. They help keep moisture in so that it doesn't evaporate. They look really good, but you just want to put them on top. You don't want to dig your wood chips in because that can deplete the soil of nutrients as those wood chips break down. On top though, it's a different story. I can put these on top and just leave them here. And that's part of what I wanted to do. These are perennial plants, meaning that the rosemary and the thyme, I want these to stay here. I'm not going to dig them up at the end of the year. I want them to grow and get big and stay there for years and years to come. I want a nice big bush of thyme and a nice big bush of rosemary. I've got another lavender plant that's going to go right here, and then in the middle I'll probably put some flowers. Yeah, I want these to stay a long time, and that's why I used the wood chips. I won't need to pick them up. I won't need to move them around. They just will stay there. They'll protect the soil. They'll nourish the soil over time and help these herbs to really grow nice and big. But that's the steps to the project. Dig a hole, build a frame, fill the hole with amended soil, and then the plants, and then the wood chips. So when it's time to put in the lavender, I'll just scrape these aside, plant the lavender, scrape them back around it, and we're good. And then I watered the whole thing in. I gave it a nice cool drink of water, so it's gonna help those roots to take hold. I want those roots to grow down and wrap all around those grapevines and really get a firm grip on what's going on. So there is my weekend project. This took me a day. I started Saturday morning. First I ripped apart the pallet, and then I dug the hole and put it all together. By late afternoon I was finished, and I'm really excited about how it turned out. I thought it turned out really great. Thanks for watching, and if you want to build one of your own, leave me a question or a comment in the comments below, and I will get back to it and help you figure things out. But again, thanks for watching, and have a great day.